it. But Wetangula behaves like a judge. And he wants you to sit in a court in parliament as if you are in a court of law. You are now you are under arrest. And that's where it goes wrong. He should actually calm down. These members of parliament are his colleagues. Inatakiwa kazi kwa vijana au pia wapate haki yao. Na wazee pia wapate pension. Na usiwafukuze waje wakae tauni hii.
What a joy to have you with us here on Richard Mwenja Exclusive today here at Herman Manyora's channel. This is the first week of July. We continue discussing conversations and subjects that are shaping Kenya's political and governance landscape. I am Richard Mwenja. Welcome to the conversation. And today I have none other than your favorite think tank, former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa, who is going to help me bring the day's conversation home. But first things first, let me introduce him to the masses. How are you doing today, sir?
Quite okay. Yes, I'm happy to be here once again to share our frustrations, aspirations, and experience with the public, with the hope that we'll be able to shape the future of this country in a better way than has been the case before.
Many state officers serving and retired are watching the show and they're crediting you with deep thinking. I mean, how does that make you feel? More particularly, let me mention Amos Wako, former AG. He really applauds and lauds your work.
Well, it humbles me. It makes me feel, I have a sense of humility. And I thank God for that experience. Because it does not come, especially from somebody of the stature of AG Emeritus, Amos Wako. He is somebody that I have a lot of respect for. Given the experience he has in the space of being our Attorney General, a human rights crusader, and somebody who has very high credentials here and abroad. It is my pleasure really that we served together in Parliament. He joined me and I left him there as both the Attorney General and subsequently the Senator for Busia, a position that I feel is served with distinction, and until the other day when he retired.
How comes all this praise has not got into your head? I mean, we've seen many struggle with balancing fame, success, and money and all, but for you, you seem like taking it out gracefully.
Well, it is because I come from a background that any compliment should be taken and you assign it to God the Almighty. It is not because I'm such a special breed. It is because I try to be as genuine as I can in whatever the situation, because they are my lows and highs. And at times when you have a high, be prepared to go low. And therefore, I take them with a lot of gratitude that we are still able to make a contribution to this country that I love a lot. And any other experience I've had outside Kenya, I've come to the conclusion that Kenya is my home and it's the best home God gave me. I could have been a Ugandan, I could have been a Tanzanian, I could have been an Ethiopian, or in any other space for that particular matter. So I take it with a lot of grace and a lot of humility, and I do appreciate that it takes others to remind you the things you believe in.
Rightly put. You've gone on record on this particular show saying for any government of the day, there's need for them or for it to read public mood and maybe also tap into the potential of public mood in informing their policy recommendations or even suggestions. But what then do you make of the sentiments by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua a few days ago, taking the blame squarely at the doorstep of National Intelligence Service, saying they are the ones to blame, they never gave sufficient intelligence to the president, that the nation was agitated, the nation was not really happy with the proposals in the Finance Bill of 2024. Would you also be part of that crowd that believes NIS failed the nation and particularly the president?
Well, what worried me most is that it was too personal. To the extent that the head of NIS, Nurdin Aji, was mentioned in person. If it was just a general thing that yes, the information that go to the president was not properly processed, I would have said, okay, this could be internal issue of communication. But it tells you that this government has not been able to run public affairs as public. They have been almost personalizing and operating from different pigeonholes, not realizing that communication internal and communication with the public are two critical components that are very important for any person doing any issues of governance. Because governance is not just doing the right things, but doing it in a way that the public gives you approval rating. It's not always that the public must say yes, but you see when the public is at variance with many of your decisions, then you must ask yourself, what is wrong with our system? And this is something that I would expect the president and his deputy to be able to iron out some of those differences without allowing us, people, members of the public, to know that there is some kind of disconnect between the two offices. Of course, the deputy president went ahead mentioning about demolitions of structures on riparian and many other things that you would say this could have been done in a cabinet meeting or even in a brief between him and his boss, the president. But it tells me there is a disconnect. Either they are not listening to him, and when somebody is sidelined in a system that we know is part of, because there is nothing is not part of, where if it is security committee of 9 people, is the number 2 component in that lineup. If it is issues of the cabinet, is a member of the cabinet. If it is issues of advice, is the principal advisor to the president. The only thing that he does not deputize the president is the issue of commander-in-chief. There is no deputy commander-in-chief. And the president gets advice from different individuals directly among the 9 members. He can be advised by the Attorney General directly without the presence of the other members. NIS boss can advise him without the presence of the others. IG can advise him without the presence of others. And even CDF can advise him without the presence of other members of the National Security Committee.
Council.
Yeah, council. So it tells you there is a problem with this system. And at times, we are forced to engage further. That is the position of the deputy president supposed to be defined further in Kenya. Because in East Africa, at times you don't know who is the deputy president of the other 5 countries or so. But in Kenya, it has been amplified. Like between Uhuru and Ruto, there was that problem. Now Rigathi and Ruto, there's that problem. So we need to ask ourselves, can we allow a constitutional arrangement such that if you are a sitting deputy president and you want to run immediately after your boss, you don't run in the second term of your boss. You stay away so that you do what we call a cool-off or a heater's moment, where you stay away so that you come in on your own momentum, other than conflicting the situation where you are preparing to take over from your boss and the boss is trying to finalize his system of legacy. It worries me, and I've known, even in a normal conversation, if I'm talking after you, when you are talking, I will not be thinking about, I will not be hearing what you are saying. I'll be thinking of what to say after you. And at times, I may repeat what you said because I never heard you talk. So the same thing. If I want to be the president and I'm your deputy, I'll be preparing for how will I be the president. I'll not be thinking, or what are you doing that is useful to this country. I don't think we've had that good manners sitting with us sufficiently. And if you go back to our history, the 3rd vice president took over from the president when the president was dead. And President Kibaki, who was, I think, the 4th vice president, took over from his boss directly, but he had gone to the opposition for more than 10 years. It tells you there is a problem about that position, especially when it comes to the psychology of Kenyans, because we still assign tribe to political formations. Such that today, the altercation between the president and his deputy is read to be the difference between the Kikuyu and the Kalenjin, which is not the case. These are two individuals from two mothers. And they should disagree, but we as community members, we should not disagree.
Sure.
Yeah, these are guys who may be disagreeing over this budget. There's a budget, they say, and what? The one that is not disclosed. Or I think the deputy president is supposed to get about 800 million. And you ask yourself, this budget that we are not disclosing, what is it that you want to do with it? This office of the deputy?
Or their spouses.
For their spouses? What is it? Mama Ngina was never given a separate budget, but she was playing the role of the first lady, because that's the first lady we know. The first lady we know is Mama Ngina Kenyatta.
The pioneer.
The pioneer, and she was not given a separate budget. Because when you go seeing the president in State House or first lady, the food that they eat, you also eat when you go seeing them. So what is so important nowadays about the office, unless it's a commercial component? That's what worries me.
You don't need a budget for intercessors?
Intercessors,
budget?
you can organize them, and they use sadaka. You make it into a church, then sadaka, then you share with them. Yeah. After all, many of these denominations, they survive through sadaka. Yeah, and donations from well-wishers. Yeah.
Back to our conversation, would you then say that for Nurdin Haji, it was a case whereby he came out as the perfect candidate to be taken in as a sacrificial lamb amidst the chaos and uproar that we saw regarding the finance bill of 2024?
There are two possibilities. One, maybe that possibly there is something personal between him and deputy president. Or the president must have given a nudge to his deputy so that Nurdin Haji is sacrificed. But either case, I don't think that's how system should be run.
Very well.
Yeah.
Rightly put. Now let's head over to our next subject, and this has to do with the Speaker of the National Assembly of Kenya, Moses Wetangula. You've been in Parliament for many years as Member of Parliament for constituency before you exited office. You went ahead to become an ambassador in this country, and you've seen it all in the political arena. I want to understand, it wasn't the case for Ole Kaparo, it wasn't the case for Kenneth Marende. Why is Wetangula, 2 years into office, receiving so much backlash? Members of Parliament are now talking about the need for him to evacuate from that office, to exit that office. They find him to be impartial, a biased Speaker of the National Assembly of Kenya. Do you read the same script from your end?
Well, at times I like reflecting when it comes to some of these differences among individuals. And I read three things. One is that Wetangula himself is not sitting pretty at home. There is a Thai movement which is taking a lot of ground from him. And of course, he has engaged directly in the politics of the day, to the extent that the other day in Trans Nzoia, he was shielded from a lot of fracas arising in a funeral that he could have avoided. You can go in the evening, and that's what I used to do. If you realize there is a bit of hostility on the ground, you go condole with the family in the evening, you leave them something small, and you'll have condole with the family, and you avoid public altercations with the people you perceive to be your opponents. So that could be one set of things. The second thing is that he has remained a party leader, and the party leader in a coalition called Kenya Kwanza. This therefore puts the other members of Azimio, those who have not crossed to Kenya Kwanza, to feel at variance with the position that the Speaker takes, because first of all, he's a party leader of Fort Kenya, and the Fort Kenya is in Kenya Kwanza, and some of the decisions that are taken in Parliament may be at variance with the position that Azimio would wish to have. And the Speaker, because he's human just like all of us, may take a position that feels it is politically expedient for him to take that particular position. So that is another set of things. The third, and perhaps what may be a product of this, I've been watching him carefully, and he seems to speak more than the audience. Because, Speaker does not speak. Speaker is supposed to make a ruling based on the discussion on the floor. But at times he spends a lot of time trying to admonish members of Parliament. And you know, every member of parliament or every politician has a huge ego. The difference between those of us who are in politics and the ordinary members of society is that we have a huge ego that needs constant massage. And when somebody is not massaging your ego, you feel inflicted with a lot of pain. And that pain, you must settle it with the person you suspect is the source of your discomfort.
Misery.
And therefore, Wetangula, the way he has been seeing, and this is good advice for him, is to talk less and allows the discussions to move in a way that by the time he makes a decision, he has listened to both sides of the equation. But I think because he's a good thinker and a quick-witted person, perhaps he has the danger that also emanates from the president, where he can stop you before he realizes what you are likely driving at. Richard, I want to advise both Moses Wetangula, the speaker, and the president. At times you may know where somebody is headed. Don't tell him, because you are pricking his pride. You are making him feel you are underrating his capacity. Even slow thinkers, you need to allow them to tell their story. And I remember, I keep on diverting to my former constituency. I used to listen to somebody comes, then I quickly think he wants money. And that day I may be blessed with a few notes. I give him 5,000. I say, no, before you give me the money. No, the CDF I never touched. Even allowances I refused for the 5 years as minister. I refused to take CDF. It was sitting allowance, I think 500.
Okay.
I said, why should I? Now, I may be blessed. That week, possibly I've gotten cooperative loan, so I have some little money. And you want to get rid of him fast enough so that you deal with others. But somebody, when he comes to you as a leader, he has actually thought about the problem himself, and he needs you to confirm his position that he has already taken. So spend more time asking the question, and the person will process the answers himself. And at the end of the day, you may give him no money, but he will feel you have listened to him. That is the danger possibly Wetangula has, and our president also has that. He sees your problem before you tell him. Yeah, even when you go to hospital, a doctor, well trained, 6 years at the university, he will ask you, how are you feeling? Before even he touches you, where is the pain? How is it? At this time, what happens? Because he knows the system.
They first grant you a listening.
A listening. And in that case, you will go back to that doctor. But the one who tells you lie on the bed, and he gives you an injection. It may not be it may not be
it could be tetanus injection.
It could be tetanus injection, or it could be malaria or meningitis, because they have almost the same symptoms. So at times, listen to the patients. And we are all patients of our leaders. Yeah. My president is a his patient. Wetangula, if I was to be a member of parliament next time and he's still the speaker, I'm his patient. Listen to my story. It may be a slow way of saying it, but eventually every person has a story to tell.
And now that much as comparison is a thief of joy, I mean, compared to former speakers, Francis Ole Kaparo and Kenneth Marende, among the, I mean, in between now the three of them, now current Wetangula, Ole Kaparo and Marende, how do you think Wetangula scored? Has he actually outperformed the other two this far?
No, in terms of rulings and fairness, in terms of weighing the issues, you know, Kaparo, being a Maasai, and was a Moran, he tells you, and he used to interject command and laughter in a way that you enjoy, that this guy has understood me. But Marende, having a small voice, is that yeah, small voice,
sharp and all,
very sharp, and he comes with the ruling that he travels with you, and because the voice is mild, you almost want to follow the story, and he will take you through until you realize he's right. He has been fair to us. You remember the Solomonic ruling that he made during the Grand Coalition government. So Marende Edison, he understood his talent. He's a small voice. Kaparo knew he was a Moran. He could combine Moranism and the sense of humor, and very quick-witted. So the two managed. But Wetangula behaves like a judge, and he wants you to sit in a court in parliament as if you are in a court of law. You are now you are under arrest. And that's where it goes wrong. He should actually calm down. These members of parliament are his colleagues. Actually, they're his employer. They are the ones who elected him. Whether through coercion, persuasion, or patches, I don't know.
So should this trend go on from Wetangula's side? Is he likely to go down as Kenya's first Speaker of the National Assembly?
Or he will be lifted off the seat.
That can happen?
It can happen. You remember the young man who went there, sat on his seat?
Sure.
Yeah. Many MPs can do that, lift him out of the seat and send him packing.
Even the president cannot grant him the immunity?
What kind of immunity? If members of parliament were to say no Wetangula, the guy will go home the same afternoon. The president may have certain leeway, but if members of parliament are sufficiently unhappy with him, he will not survive. Yeah, so what he should do is to spend more time interacting with these people. I know one thing that I know with him, and I cannot take it away from him. He's a very good bargainer, but you cannot bargain for yourself. It takes others to assist you navigate the situation.
Or would you say that there's need for him to focus more on conducting the business of National Assembly other than being engaged in supremacy battles when it comes to matters to do with Western Kenya, kingship, political kingship?
The only speaker that has gone back to re-engineer himself is Kenneth Lusaka. Many speakers, they leave that position and go home or go to Limojari. So you should be careful. Once you get into that, it's almost like an apex of that institution. He's expecting Chief Justice to go back and run to be a member of parliament for a certain place in Meru.
A tall order, that one.
It's a very big, it's a tall order because the people you interact with are not the same as the ones you will interact in Meru. Yeah, where some people will sing certain songs to you, or against you, or for you. Yeah.
There you have it. At that point takes us to the wrap of today's conversation. We've been discussing a cocktail of issues in the world of politics and governance, from the National Assembly to President Ruto's style of leadership and what he needs to recalibrate in his leadership style so that Kenya moves a notch higher. That has been our conversation. We wait to see your feedback concerning the same. Do send us your feedback through engaging with us. I'm at Mwenje Richard on X and on TikTok, at Kiro Official on X and on TikTok as well. We cannot wait to get your feedback. Until we meet next on Richard Mwenje Exclusive, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. From Heshimiwa, continue aging gracefully. We pray that you have a very I know your birthday is approaching soon enough, right?
Yeah, I think in the next 1 month or so.
You'll be turning?
67.
67?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
You've been here for that long?
Yeah, I've been around.
In this town?
In this town.
Oscillating between one studio to the next?
Yeah, and also being in Tanzania for 10 years. Of my formative days in my life. And being in Ethiopia for 4 years. As eager special envoy to Somalia. And being out of the country 1 month or so. Otherwise, I've been in this country for as long as I've lived.
Gen Z wanasema imefika wakati paka mzee hawafai kunywa maziwa. Atuoli Kirwa should retire to the village. They have been here for quite a while. They need to go home.
We don't mind going home, but we want to leave a better Kenya for them. And that's why we are still insisting, listen to them. These are our children, our grandchildren. You know, one of my grandchildren is a student at the University of Nairobi. And of course, I'm still a student there. So they should not take me out of my course.
So bado mko hii town?
Yeah, tuko town na tunasoma. Yeah.
Kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee?
Hapana. Inatakiwa kazi kwa vijana, au pia wapate haki yao. Na wazee pia wapate pension.
Wapate pension.
Na usiwafukuze waje wakae town hii. Ndio vijana wapate kufaidika kwa hekima ambayo tunaweza kusalisha kati yetu na wao.
Mmetengea vijana hekima?
Hekima bado iko. Kama bado una uwezo ya kuishi na kuna mengi ambayo umejifunza, naweza nikakusaidia uepuke matatizo ambayo niliyapitia. Kwa mfano kama kuna makosa nilifanya, nikiwa waziri, nikiwa mbunge, nikiwa mwalimu, nitakueleza Richard, usipitie hii njia. Tafuta njia mbadala ndio ufike mahali unaenda salama. Asante.
Asante sana. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.